And joining me now from Winnipeg is the Premier of Manitoba, Brian Pallister. Nice to see you, Premier.
You too, Rosemary.
So more people have died from COVID-19 in Manitoba in the past week than over the past 7.5 months since the pandemic started. Your hospitalizations have increased by 338% in the past 4 weeks. Premier, did you wait too long to put in new restrictions?
I don't think so, Rosemary, but there's always room for hindsight. I think probably we're not at Monday morning yet, so we won't be starting with Monday morning quarterbacking for a while. What we've done is we've stepped up our restrictions, which were already more strict than most jurisdictions in the country, to be the most strict in the country. But I think the fundamental reality is that we're, in part at least, victims of our own earlier success. As you know, we had virtually no cases through much of the summer. And so now what we're seeing is people going inside, and most are not, but some are disrespecting the rules that we put in place. So we've stepped up our enforcement, sadly necessary to do, because we have people that are going out to events. We're going out to bars, for example, with symptoms and spreading the thing among dozens of people, or going to a church gathering knowing they were waiting for a test result and giving it to others in the congregation. Things like that just can't happen. So we've eliminated those possibilities with our rules now.
Yeah,
so we're fighting that.
Yeah, it does sound though like over the past number of weeks where the cases have actually come from is not bars and restaurants primarily, but from people gathering inside their own homes. And it's only this week that that you finally said, okay, Dr. Roussin, and you finally said, no, you have to stay within your own home. Surely that could have been done sooner.
Well, remember that we had some of the most strict limits on gatherings in the country prior to this, Rosemary. I mean, I'm not making excuses here when I tell you, saying 5 people to a gathering is more strict than most of the country. It is. And that's what we had as a restriction before. The difference is, I think, that we have to move further because clearly some people were abusing the rules. Our focus has been to try to encourage and limit the number of contacts that people have. And our initial step up was 2 weeks ago, actually, Rosemary, before this week. And we're already starting to see, thankfully, on the contact tracing data, that the number of contacts that people have had who are contracting COVID is coming down. The number of contacts come down about over 25%. And that's a positive thing, because that's the key. That's the key to getting in front of COVID and turning the curve.
But the other issue with contact tracing, I'm glad you brought it up, Premier, because it is key to getting a handle on things, is being able to figure out where they came from. And Dr. Roussin, your public health officer, said this week, there are 500 cases in recent days that they have not been able to trace anywhere. Does that not indicate that you need more help with contact tracing, that you, in fact, if you can't see where it's coming from, you can't get ahead of it? So do you have enough contact tracers? Do you need more help?
Our contact trace backlog this morning was 0, Rosemary. So we've added, literally, we've moved people from lower priority civil service jobs over to higher priority. We've obtained some assistance from the feds in terms of some StatsCan people that are helping us with data entry primarily. We've outsourced to the private sector. We've asked them to do calling notifications, sort of the lower skilled part of the tracking testing mechanism. So we're on this, and we've been on it for some weeks. The reality, though, is that we have to reduce the number of contacts, and that's why these very stringent restrictions, the most stringent in Canada, have been invoked for a long time.
You keep saying that your province has the most stringent restrictions. I take that. I mean, right now they do, but you have the most stringent restrictions because you also have the province with the highest rate of cases per capita. So I wonder, I guess my point goes back to the same, and I understand you don't want a Monday morning quarterback, but there is enough data here to show us, Premier, that something has spun out of control. Is there not?
Well, there's something that's spun out of control across the Western world, as you well know. The fact of the matter is,
other provinces are handling it differently than you, Premier.
Yeah, they don't have as stringent restrictions, and through the summer, we maintained some of the more stringent in the country throughout the summer when we had no cases, Rosemary. We didn't let our foot off the gas in terms of protecting. We launched a program, 2/3 of which was focused on education and preventative educational knowledge that we called Ready, Safe, Grow. We can't grow until we're safe, so we really focused on promoting public awareness of how to stay safe.
Right, but that does not appear to have worked. But that does not appear to have worked, Premier.
Yeah, well, that's fine. There you go with the Monday morning quarterbacking, Rosemary. Look, I can only tell
Premier,
you.
if you have had more people died in the past week than in the past 7.5 months, forgive me, but it doesn't sound like your plan worked over the course of the summer.
Well, that's great, except that, Rosemary, to be fair, you haven't come up with a single idea in this interview that would have made this plan work better.
Premier, I am not an elected official. Premier, I am not an elected official. I'm asking you why you didn't move faster to protect the people of your province, sir.
Rosemary, I'm trying to explain to you that we kept some of the most stringent restrictions of any province throughout the summer, that we've been preparing. Our testing has quadrupled. Our capability in terms of notifying people has been bolstered and strengthened. All of this was the result of working all summer to prepare for this thing. And so you're misrepresenting the reality of the work that's gone in by our public health officials all summer.
Okay, I'm not misrepresenting the work, Premier. What I am trying to do is represent the facts as they are now. But I want to move on. I want to ask you about Steinbach, if I can. So Steinbach has a 40% positivity rate, just for people who don't know. Right. How do you get a handle on a situation in a small town like Steinbach where it is clear that people are not following the rules?
Well, it's clear that we had about 700 people gather together last weekend and decide that they would have an idiotic protest, and that they would not wear masks or protect one another. And it's also clear that as a direct consequence of that, the number of COVID cases has been bolstered there. Now, that didn't start with that rally, but it's sort of evidence of the kind of thing that we have to counteract here. Mm-hmm. And every part of the country has to counteract. And that's the disrespectful behavior of people who think it's more important to shop than it is to actually protect the rights of other people to breathe. And so that's where the enforcement issues are very, very critical, not just in Manitoba, of course, but remember, Rosemary, to be fair, it's understandable I'd react. Like you, I'm very emotional about protecting people. I care deeply about that. And when I see people dying in my province, it hurts. It hurts me, and it hurts the families, obviously, that I care deeply for. So I hope you don't think I'm being defensive. I'm being caring here and telling you that we're doing our absolute best, and we're stepping up. There's zero backlogs on tracking and tracing right now in our province, and we've got hundreds of people we're adding to our tracking to keep that system going. Yeah. Six other provinces have all-time highs right now. This is not a Manitoba alone problem. I think that's fair to observe.
Premier, I'm not suggesting that it is, of course, and I appreciate that it's a difficult position that you are in. Premier, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, Rosemary.